What I'm going to do here is go over memories of my time when I was at Miami University. That was from the fall of 1965 to graduation in 1969. So that was a good time ago. Um, I really loved my time at Miami University. I think it was some of the best years of my life. And I just want to go into some of the things that are different than the way they are now and some other stuff. I started out as a freshman in Collins Hall. Now, Collins Hall at that time did not have a good reputation. Girls, for example, were not allowed even in the hall for 3 months. And this was like way before this idea of having a co-ed building. I mean, as far as I understand now, half the building is male and half the building is female, but you still have the basement laundry, and I don't know if they're separate laundries or not, but girls just weren't allowed anywhere near there. One of the kinds of things that was done was for this bonfire. We'd go out and collect logs and branches, and they piled them up behind the hallway. And there was so much concern about other dorms raiding our stash of logs and branches that actually the resident assistants set up this thing where if there was a raid, everybody was to pour out of the dorm and take part in stopping whoever was raiding. Now, at the time, I was on the 3rd floor, so by the time we would get any word of it, we were kind of like the Johnny B. Latelys. I do remember one time, though, when I'd gotten down to the basement and I saw them leading one of the raiders in, and he had been bloodied up pretty good. One of the other things that happened at Collins Hall was we had this idiot that thought it was a wonderful idea to put shoe polish on toilet seats. Well, you can guess that didn't go over too well. Some of the people, some of the guys found him. And so what they did is they took all his clothes off except his underwear. They got shoe polish and covered him head to toe in shoe polish. Then they took him outside and left him out in front of a woman's dormitory. So that was the type of justice that was dispelled in Collins Hall at that time. Another example of this was in the hall, there was one guy that the concept of taking showers and keeping himself clean was just kind of like foreign to him, you know. And, well, his roommate got some guys together, and they decided they would introduce him to a shower with a scrub brush. So that was another form of Collins Hall justice at the time. One of the other kinds of things that was done was some guys got the bed mattresses and blocked the opening to a shower and then turned all the shower heads on. And you can guess that was kind of a watery experience for the dormitory. The cafeteria was in what looked like a leftover airplane hangar from World War II. So that wasn't exactly the height of dining, but you know, that's what we had. So you had your cafeteria and an airplane hangar. One of the things one of my roommates and I did, there was a big field out not far from Collins Hall. Now it's like a huge chemistry building, but at the time it was totally empty. So we would go out there once in a while and fire off model rockets. Well, we were doing this. Now, this was, Vietnam, and we were firing rockets, and then all of a sudden 2 truckloads of National Guard troops pull up. Now, they were at the far end of the field, but you can figure, okay, that wasn't entirely a comforting thing. And then a few of them came out and started approaching us. Well, we just kept firing off the rockets. Well, it turned out all they were doing was they were just interested in what we were doing. That was it. And then we could hear all the way from the trucks where one of the guys was yelling to these other guys, if they were done watching, they needed to come back to the trucks. So that was kind of a tense moment, but it turned out to be all right. One of the rules at the time was, okay, now the forest was the forest. You didn't have any fancy walkways or anything. If you wanted to go out in the forest, you just went out and held on to trees as you went down it. Well, anyhow, you weren't supposed to go behind the Pines residence. Now, I'm not sure what it's called now. But at that time, the Pines residence was a women's dormitory for another college. It had been an insane asylum. Well, I spent a lot of time walking through the forest. It was neat. And so I went on and got behind where I think the Pines was. And what I actually discovered was that there was this concrete thing with bricks on both sides leading into the ground, and the whole front of it was covered by concrete. Well, when I finally figured it out later, after some research, I think it was an entrance to the Underground Railroad, because Miami University was part of that. There was a thing that supposedly led into the president's room, built house at that time, which is a different one now. And that's what I'm guessing is. It was, because it's in the middle of a forest. There's nothing around there. It wasn't like a railroad thing or anything. So I think it was part of the Underground Railroad. Then there was another time I was walking through the forest, and I was coming back. Well, I get to this one spot, and then there's this ginormous groundhog. He had to have been a relative of Godzilla. And this thing was big. And he was standing up on his hind legs looking at me, and I stopped walking and I was looking at him. And I figured, okay, discretion is the better part of valor. I turned around and went around a different way. So that was another one of the unusual things. But the forest was really nice. Now, near Collins Hall was the old Fisher Hall. And the Fisher Hall at that time was all closed up. And of course you heard rumors about ghosts. And so one day I went out and climbed up one of the fire escapes and looked in. And of course it was empty, kind of beat up. Well, some years later, I got permission to actually do an investigation inside of Fisher Hall looking for the ghost. I had a camera, 3 different types of film, tape recorder, which was kind of primitive at the time. And you went up to this, we went up to the second floor. I was with some representatives of Miami University. We went up to the second floor of Fisher Hall, and the floor was like this. It had just collapsed that much. Obviously didn't even attempt to step in that area. I had used regular film, infrared film, and ultraviolet sensitive film or something like that, I don't remember. The university developed it. Nothing odd showed up on the black and white. Might have been color, I honestly don't remember, it was that long ago. And they said nothing showed up on the other 2 rolls of film, although they never sent me anything from it. The tape recorder did detect the slamming of a door. One weird thing, I found out they were going to tear it down. I had a friend take me up there, and I permanently borrowed a couple pieces of Fisher Hall. It must have been like the top of a pillar or something, flat thing. Took it to where I was living at the time, which was a 1-room apartment. And there was one night where there was this weird sound. It was like some kind of animal trying to get in or something. And that had never happened before, it never happened afterwards. At the time I got spooked and I got rid of the top piece I had taken. Now I probably wouldn't, because I've studied ghosts for so long. But that was one kind of weird thing tied in with my exploration of Fisher Hall, and of course they ended up tearing it down. So that was kind of an interesting aspect of things. Another thing I remembered, I don't remember all the details about it, but I was going to give a poetry reading. I'm kind of into writing poetry. And it was in Knowles Hall, and there was some students that showed up. But as a typical example of the way things work out for me, a couple guys came in and said we had to cancel it because there was going to be something or other. And to this day I don't know if they were legit, but that was my one attempted poetry reading, which ended up being aborted. I did get an article. At the time I was right-wing. So I did get an article published in On the Right at Miami magazine, which you would think the article I did was be on politics, but no, it was on flying saucers. I'd been interested in that for a long time. And, 2 pages in a magazine, that was at least something. I did a report in my senior year in high school on UFOs. Okay, let's see what else we got. This is another one of the books, Plants for Man, which I don't even remember the course, but it was another one where you had to do a lot of underlining. This is my botany book from back then. I've also kept up with Miami history books. This is one book, this is the same book, but a later edition. You can see this one's kind of beat up, this one's in fairly decent condition. Now, one of the things Miami did recently was they made available to people the little booklets that students apparently now get, which introduces them to Miami University and the ideas, rules, regulations, and so forth, and the Code of Love and Honor, Global Miami Plan for Liberal Education, new top 10 tips for new students. And it's kind of a neat book. If you're a graduate of Miami, you ought to see if they still have these. Back in my day, you got one of these where you kept your academic record, And it was a matter of a page of explanation of what you should do, and then you've got printouts of what your grades were. And if you want to look back and see, what you took, it's kind of an interesting thing. I see Principles of Animal Biology, Growth of American Civics, Gym, which I absolutely hated, public speaking, chemistry, finite mathematics. It was weird. I had like zero interest in mathematics, and yet I did fairly good. Okay, let's see. Then there was also the Miami Memos, and this was basically a thing to keep track of what you had to do on what day, and then information in the back part of it, and a lot of pictures and everything. I don't know if they still had this kind of a thing or not, but I definitely kept mine. This wasn't. This was from 1983, 1984, so somehow I got a photocopy of it. Let's see. If you look online, you can find postcard with Miami University on it. This one is from 2009. This one is from Luxembourg. And I think there's one other one, which I haven't been able to find it. On eBay, I found this, which was another photo, and an Ohio stamp thing, and all nicely enclosed in a container. So, this was something else I got because I liked Miami. Now, back in the day, you would get the class guide. I don't know if they still do that. And you would have to go through it, find the courses you wanted to take, the time they were available. I don't have all of mine. This was the second trimester of 65. This is the first trimester of 66, 67. Second trimester, first trimester 68, 69. And the spring term in 1968. I don't have the rest of them. But those are something I kept from Miami University. Let's see. Another thing you were given was a style sheet. In other words, how you do reports and stuff like that. Never really used it, but I kept it. I wasn't going to throw it away or anything. Another thing I have from Miami University is the vellum stationery. I do not know what year this is from, but you can see here, and it had envelopes with it. Again, don't know when. I have the notice of the baccalaureate service, the invitation to the graduation, and I even have my cap and my gown from the time. Now, I only got a bachelor's, and somehow when you think about it, BS in education to me is a very appropriate title. I didn't have the money to get a master's. I did get the metal version of my graduation certificate, and I think on something or other, I don't know if it was this one or this other one I've got, which was a small plastic one, there was a mistake in the printing of it, which again, par for the course. Now, something that I did, this is one of these scrapbook kind of things, and so what I did is I had taken pictures past beyond the time when I was there, This is what was the girls' dorm for freshman girls, which happened to be at the entire opposite end of Oxford, which was kind of like, okay, let's protect these people. Uh, the building is still there, but it's been turned into the Oxford government building or something or other. You would get Dean's List things if you made a Dean's List for a particular time. I was in room 328 in my first freshman year, top floor. This building was the student reservation, which has been moved to a different building, I think. There's another thing about the annual commencement. I saved that. More pictures. Take it to a basketball game. I was never much into sports. An example of something that, another way things worked out for me. Now this is a letter I got, my father got actually, to inform you of James' attainment to membership in Kappa Delta Pi Education Honorary. This honor is indicative of the positive influence and encouragement to excel in scholarly endeavors by you, the parent. You're to be commended, and so on and so forth. So I was in Kappa Delta Pi. Except, sometime later, I had written to them to find out about something, and they had informed me I had never been in it. So that kind of like disagreed with this little letter, but again, like I say, well, that's the way things go. Let's see. Another Dean's List. More pictures of the schools. This one was the building for Botany. It may still be, I don't know. Downtown Oxford, which is not necessarily a thriving metropolis, but you find what you needed. Now, here's a image of a theater. Now, when I was there was one movie theater, I think. I don't know. Anyhow, I remember one of the movies I went to see there was Teresa and Isabel, which, if you've never seen the movie, you really should. It's two girls in an all-girls French school, boarding school, and how the two fall in love. And it was pretty sexy, too, in spots. It was a really good movie. It had an extremely sad ending. And for some reason, which I still don't know, it made a deep impression on me. So I actually have the DVD of it, and I have some black and white photos from it that I got off eBay, and somewhere around here. Oh, I'm going to move this. There's the Teresa and Isabel. Okay, there you can see the poster to Teresa and Isabel. Marlene Farmer, Xena, Sucker Punch, good movie. Marlene Farmer, Picnic at Hanging Rock, that's another thing I'm interested in. Annette Funicello, Captain Marvel, Picnic at Hanging Rock again. And of course I got the yearbooks for all 4 years I was there. And never underestimate the importance of a yearbook. You really should always get the one from the year, because it may not mean anything to you at the time, but years down the road, it's probably going to mean something to you. And in addition, Miamiopolis, one version. Miamiopolis, another version. I have a link below to my Pinterest page on these games, so you can see how they came with the cards and everything. It's really neat. I don't know if there was more than two, but I only have found two, so I got those two. So anyhow, I really enjoyed my time at Miami University. I definitely recommend it to anybody. I haven't been up there for a while. Someday I hope to get back up there again and just walk around and kind of let the memories take me wherever they may. And so this is my memories of Miami University. Hopefully you haven't fallen asleep by now and dribble all over your keyboard. And thanks for putting up with my walk through the past.